You are one of the first people we are interviewing, and we are so excited to have you here. And just to give everybody a little bit of a background of how you and I've met, is I was tech support during COVID for one of the support groups that you were in, and that's how we connected. And that's one of the reasons I reached out to you, because I felt that you would be a perfect person to interview and to kind of just really highlight on this part of the blog. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Janet Schmidt, and Don and I have been married for 33 years. I'm a teacher, a second grade teacher at a Catholic school in Northern Kentucky. So I grew up in Northern Kentucky, and Don is originally from Delhi.
Mhm.
But I drug him across the river after we got married, and so we live in Park Hills, Kentucky, and it's good because for me to live in Kentucky and for me to be a part of a support group in Cincinnati. So Parkinson Support and Wellness, of course, main headquarters and everything is in Cincinnati. I think it's just important to know that whether you live in Cincinnati or you don't live in Cincinnati, you can still be a part of Parkinson Support and Wellness. And that's an important element to remember, that the support is there for you to reach out. And that's why I am a big fan of Parkinson's Support and Wellness. And we have been from the very beginning. So as soon as Don was diagnosed in 2011, and we first knew something was going on with a tremor, probably prior to that, I could see like some cognitive issues going on because Don was having trouble holding down a job and learning new methods at his job. And then when we were diagnosed with Parkinson's, and I say we because if your spouse has Parkinson's, or your sibling has Parkinson's, or your child has Parkinson's, it's a team effort to live with it. It's a team effort to deal with it. And I think that's an important part of thinking about how Parkinson's is a part of your life. So from the very beginning, my idea was, if we are given Parkinson's, then the key to dealing with Parkinson's, living with Parkinson's, is education. So as soon as we could go to the first educational opportunity that Parkinson's Support and Wellness had, we went, not knowing anybody, not knowing anything about Parkinson's Support and Wellness, but I knew it would be the key to us dealing with it would be through education.
Absolutely. And you hit on so many points that a lot of people that who've mentored me through my journey with Parkinson's have said. They're like, it's not I've been diagnosed, so we've been diagnosed. I've heard that numerous times, and it's so true. And like people reaching out to get educated, and that's super important to like get all the knowledge you possibly can. You've hit on so many like wonderful points, and thank you so much for your kind words on Parkinson's Support and Wellness. And I'm not sure if you know, because you were saying that like, yeah, like, we're based in Cincinnati, but you can be anywhere to join our like virtual support groups. We have someone from Canada who joins our
Wow.
support group.
Great.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, so for everyone who watching, if you're not from Cincinnati, please still join our virtual support groups. You are always welcome. Um, so yeah, like what, and you kind of already answered my next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I feel like there's going to be a million answers for this, but I just want to make sure to give you the opportunity to like shed some more of your beautiful knowledge with us. What lessons have you learned from being a care partner, a caregiver, that you feel you would love to share with people watching right now?
So I've gone to some different caregiving sessions through Parkinson's Support and Wellness, and a big part of it that they emphasize is for us to take care of ourselves. So if you are the caregiver, you want to do for your partner, you want to help them, but we have to take care of ourselves. And so they would say, make time for yourself, exercise, eat right, get enough sleep. And follow through with your own doctor appointments, make sure you're going to the dentist on a regular basis, your annual checkups. And it's so easy to focus on the person that has the Parkinson's, and then you can forget about yourself. But from the very beginning, because of all the different support groups I've gone to, in different realms of education, I know that the most important thing is for us to be able to take care of ourselves, and then we're going to be healthy physically, emotionally, and spiritually then to take care of our partners. So every day, like part of my routine is I exercise every morning. So even if you're not a morning exercise person, to take a walk throughout the day, and just to take like a 20-minute walk just really clears your head. And every morning, I pray. So exercise and prayer are how I start my day. And then throughout the day, I try to drink as much water as I can. Coffee's in there too. And I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. And self-care for us, it's not a selfish thing to do. It's the best answer for us as a caregiver. And then the other thing when you're a caregiver, to reach out to other people, that are caregivers. So I've made, some just different friends along the way that are also caregivers. And so there'll be times when, I'll call them and just kind of, it's good to talk with someone else who's a caregiver, because they know what you're going through. You have great family, you have great friends, and I know you do. You have great neighbors. But unless the person you're talking with has lived with Parkinson's, has dealt with Parkinson's, to me, the best, most healthy thing for me to do is talk with another caregiver
Yeah.
of someone who is dealing with Parkinson's.
I 100% agree on that. For people watching, because not everyone knows about me, my dad was diagnosed 2.5 years ago. And I feel the same exact way, that I'm like, I've met people whose parent has been diagnosed. And when I talk to them, I feel so seen. So I completely 100% agree with you. And I'm so glad that you reach out to fellow like caregiver, care partners in this journey to get that strength that you need. I think that that's wonderful. And I love the fact that you start your day with exercise. And we emphasize how exercise is so important for the person with Parkinson's, but it is also important for the caregiver, the care partner. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Though, do you have any quick question? Like, do you have any guilty self-care? Like reading, for my guilty self-care is like reading really bad books. That's what I do.
There's a chai tea that I like to drink every morning. So
Oh,
that's
that's
one of mine. But, and that's a good thing too. To do something special for yourself. Like, people would say, just go through McDonald's drive through and get an ice cream sundae, or do that. And I think whatever that is for you, to make a lunch date with friends, that part is good too. And I'm glad you brought that up, because sometimes that's probably maybe the one thing that sometimes I do put to the side. But we do need to do kind things for ourselves. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Um, Thank you for that. And also now I want an ice cream sundae from McDonald's. Can you tell us some methods that you use, that maybe you and Dawn use in your Parkinson's journey, that you would want to share with people watching today?
So I go to all of Don's doctor's appointments with him, of course, and I have a binder of information where I take notes. And so, we'll talk about, how the doctor's visit went. We'll talk about strategies like within our home. And sometimes, I guess, sometimes what I do have to do is, if I need a break, like I do detach. So if the Parkinson's is driving me crazy, like I'll go on our back deck and just sit down there and kind of chill out a little bit. So I think it's also important to know that if you have to detach, it's really healthy to detach, and there's nothing unloving about detaching. It's usually good, like for Don and me, to have a little bit of detachment so that we can both kind of rejuvenate. because living with Parkinson's is challenging, emotionally and physically, it's challenging. And sometimes you just do need a break, and those breaks are healthy. Then you come back together and talk, but give each other, we have to give each other space when it's needed.
I think that's really good advice. Like giving you time, and then it sounds like you guys have a really good communication style. I love that.
Right. And we attend, any of the Parkinson support and wellness sessions on like the Saturday sessions. And when everything was open, like we went to as many of those as possible. And the good thing about that is that so years before Don needed the walker, the U2-step walker, we had gone to a Parkinson support and wellness seminar, and they talked about this walker. And so like we looked at the walker, and I took notes on the walker, not knowing when we were going to need the walker. Well, a couple years later, his doctor said, Don, I want you to get the U2-step walker. And I thought, great, like we already know all about that walker. And so
Right.
anytime you go to an educational session, you're going to hear about deep brain stimulation. And you might think, well, that the doctor hasn't said anything about deep brain stimulation, but everything you learn at those educational sessions, even if it doesn't pertain to you now,
Right.
it might pertain to you in the future. And so that's why those educational sessions are so important, because it's filled with great information. And the other important thing about when we first start going to the educational sessions, they talked about how, the symbol of the snowflake, and that everyone with Parkinson's, it's a unique set of circumstances. And that's why the symbol is the snowflake. And I really thought about that because, we would talk about people, and this Parkinson's person would say, oh, I have the freezing. Well, we weren't experiencing that. Or another Parkinson's person talked about, constipation. We weren't experiencing that. So I think it's just so important to focus on that. Every person who has Parkinson's, it is a unique set of circumstances for that person. Some people say, oh, we don't really have the depression as part of our Parkinson's. But it's just important to know that every situation is unique. Every Parkinson's patient is unique, and their circumstances are what God has given them. And if you've been given that set of circumstances, then I know that God is going to give you the tools, the people to deal with those set of situations.
Mm-hmm. I think it's wonderful that you have found such a relief in this journey through your faith, that you pray and that you have that faith. I think that's very beautiful, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. It definitely, yes, about the educational pieces. I've learned so much that I didn't know, and I'm less like when I first, was going to these things. Like I was like, I don't know that much about Parkinson's, and now I feel like the more I go to these things, the better equipped I feel, and the more relaxed I feel around the whole idea. And I was like, oh, okay, I know this now to help with my father and help my mom, be his caregiver. So I when the time comes and needs, I'm better equipped. And I love our educational pieces. So thank you for sharing
Mm-hmm.
that as well. But I know we met through support group. So tell us the benefits of being in a support group for specifically care partner, caregiver support groups.
Right. So I've been able to attend a couple in person. And to me, it's healthy to talk with people who are realistically telling you what their struggles are. And when you're around other people that are going through the same kind of struggles that you're going through, you just feel that you're not alone. And what the other caregivers are doing, like they'll share resources that they have found, and then they share it with everybody else. And so we're all taking notes, and just to be able to share resources, to be able to share the struggles, and to be honest and say, you know what, one of the caregivers said, I have to hire someone to come into our home and be with my loved one, so like that I can go and do something with my friends. and that's perfectly a great thing to do. Or, to say, um, I felt really frustrated yesterday, and all of us can support them and say, like, we understand. To say to someone who's going through what you're going through, I understand. It just makes you feel that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that's healthy for us to be around other people that truly do understand.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. So, what advice would you have for somebody like, a partnership, like whether it be husband, wife, siblings, friends, who are entering this journey of like being like the care partner, caregiver, and the person with Parkinson's? Um, what advice would you have for somebody who is like entering this and they're very new?
So when you hear the diagnosis, um, you're going to be afraid, and you're going to say, "How am I going to handle this? How's the Parkinson's going to progress?" So you're going to be afraid, but I want to say to you, don't be afraid, because the amount of resources out there are just numerous. There are books written specifically for caregivers. You have Parkinson's support and wellness, and the wealth of materials and the people. There are people to contact through Parkinson's support and wellness. They have free materials that they can give you. So many of the materials for Parkinson's, like, they're free. um and so to relieve your fear, what I did was, then I reached out to learn more about Parkinson's. And even just on there are so many resources just on the internet, all of the different foundations
Yeah.
that are out there. There are many different blogs you can go to. I mean, I'm glad that Parkinson's Support and Wellness started one, because I think that totally is the right thing to do.
Thank
And
you.
then, and if you have any question about anything, Parkinson's Support and Wellness, they can guide you to what you need. And the other thing is, when you meet with your neurologist, at all of those appointments, just be super honest, and
Yeah.
tell them exactly what's going on. So, like, when we go to different appointments, Don can't always remember how things are going. Don can't remember, like, the last time he fell. Don can't remember the big episodes of constipation where we had to go to the ER. So when you go to your neurologist, tell your neurologist everything, because they need to know the whole picture, so that they can direct the care that's right for you. So we started out with a UC neurologist, and then insurance changed, so they said, no, you can't have a UC neurologist. So we went to a St. E's neurologist, and he was excellent for us. And then it got to a point where he said, I would like you to go to UC, and I want you to go to a movement disorder specialist. So he told us then to go over, because Don's Parkinson's had progressed, and he said, now it's time to go to the movement disorder specialist. So then, we hopped back over to UC and got a UC doctor, and now, we're driving that train. But I feel like that it's important, first of all, to be honest, and then, to take notes. I take notes at every single one of Don's doctor's appointments, and then I can refer back to those. And sometimes the doctors will ask me a question, and I'll go back to my binder and, find the information. And then I have that there. Um, we're managing our loved ones' health. They're not going to be able to do it because of the Parkinson's that's taking over their body. As sad as it is. And so for us, we're managing our own health care, and we're measuring the health care of the person with Parkinson's.
Yeah. Thank you. That's wonderful advice. And I think it's really smart to have like a notebook, a binder, like, so you can look up that stuff. Like, that it's been emphasized in a lot of support groups that I have been tech support or I've been a part of like journaling everything. And I think that's great that you have a binder. Like the organization nerd in me loves that. um,
I guess one other thought that just popped into my mind is that, so all of the sessions we go to through anything with Parkinson's is, they emphasize that the Parkinson's patient should exercise. And
yes.
that's something that Don is not driven to do. So in the beginning of our journey, I was nagging him all the time, and when we nag, it doesn't help. So like I'll suggest it once, and then if he doesn't follow through with it, I have to detach and let that go. So when you're living with someone with Parkinson's, you want them to be driven inside themselves. With a lot of Parkinson's patients don't have a lot of inner drive. You want them to exercise, and sometimes they might not want to. You want them to drink more water. You want them to do this, you want them to do that. So you can suggest it. And then if they're not on board with it on that particular day, you have to really let it go, because you can't make them do what you want them to do. You can encourage them, you can love them, you can talk about it with them, but if they choose not to do it, they choose not to do it. So, we had heard, like the boxing was really good for Parkinson's. And I said, Don, let's just go look at, one of these places. And, we looked at it, and he said, no, that's going to be too hard for me. So I thought, okay, let that go. So you can introduce, you can suggest, you can, try something.
Yeah.
And if they say they're not interested in it, then they're not interested in it, and you can't force it to happen.
100%. I completely agree with that. Thank you for just taking this time with me to share all your wonderful and beautiful knowledge, and just like about your journey with Parkinson's. Like, I just really appreciate you being willing to do that and just let me interview you for our blog. I really, really appreciate it. So that's all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else you would like to say before, you and I part ways today?
Just caregivers, take care of yourselves, please. I will, if you will.